All right, let's hope we're online. So, welcome everybody. Um, this is the ComAround event, ComAround Inspiration Day 2018. We're happy to broadcast to you live from Stockholm, Sweden, where we have a great crowd and participants joining in today as well. We're in the Microsoft headquarters here in Stockholm. Today we have a nice program lined up for you, and we're going to be going at a pretty fast pace to make sure we keep everything that we want to say and everything on time and on schedule. We have planned some breaks, so we'll let you know when you can go for a coffee or for those of you watching, maybe go use the restroom or refill your coffees there as well. But global welcome to everybody. This is really exciting. So ComAround's Inspiration Day is an annual event which we've held for about 7 years now. So we're really happy to be able to do it again today. And we're really excited to be able to open it up for access for everybody outside of Stockholm as well. That's a first for us. So that's great news. So, Sebastian Thieling is my name. I'm the host. I'll be taking you through this presentation and today, this conference. And I think on that note, we may begin, and we're going to start with the first track of the day. So the first track, I would like to welcome up a couple of people here to join me in the couches. It's an executive briefing. And I would like to call up Magnus Holmquist, one of the founders of ComAround. Magnus, please join me here on the stage. I'd also like to invite Per Strand. Per Strand is another one of the founders of ComAround, so welcome. I would like to welcome Marcus Gullberg as well.
Thank you.
Please join me on the stage. So Marcus is from Microsoft, the business development for Western Europe. And we're going to try to have another colleague from the States link up with us here as well. So Bill, can you hear me? Hello, Bill. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Welcome. So, for everybody here attending and on the broadcast, we're also having Bill Pollie from ComAround, the EVP of North America. So, glad to have you here, Bill.
Thanks. I wish I could be there in person.
So do we. So do we. All right. So what we want to do here is we have a few questions regarding the executive briefing and the Microsoft partnership. That's why we have Marcus and a few of the people from ComAround here today. We're going to ask a few questions and we'll get their input on hopefully some of the top topics that we want to know a little bit more about. So the first question is going to be to Magnus. So Magnus, you've been with the company for quite some time. You are one of the founders. So can you tell them a little bit about the milestones during ComAround's journey from the start, from the beginning until today?
Sure. So first of all, I would like to say welcome to everyone here on site at Microsoft's office in Stockholm, and also to everyone online. So it's great to see all of you here. There have been many milestones over the last 20 years. ComAround started as a computer training company back in the 90s, and we had classroom training. And what we did find out was that when the people came back to their office, they needed support. So we started to create books with knowledge articles helping our customers to help themselves. Maybe you remember, Per.
Absolutely.
And that was, of course, the start. one important milestone was in 2001 when we transformed the company from developing and producing and selling books onto an online service. So in 2001 we delivered ComAround, and back in those days it was called Guide and Tips, and it was built on Microsoft technology. So many years ago, but that's where we started delivering online. So an important milestone for us. Another milestone I would like to highlight is when we expanded in Scandinavia, and I can look at David here. He's the first employee for ComAround team in Norway, and he's still with us. I'm very happy for that, and that was of course an important step for the company, trying to move outside of Sweden, and that's a good start on our journey. In 2014 we decided to try to see what kind of feedback we could get from the customers in North America. So Per and I went over to a large conference and talked to people about ComAround and what we do, and had an amazing feedback, great feedback from companies and people over there. And then we decided to let's establish ComAround in North America, and I'm sure that Bill will say a few words about that. And least but not last, I think the move where we moved the product to Microsoft Azure environment was also an important milestone for us to be able to scale out in the world. So a few milestones.
Exciting journey.
Yeah.
Must have been quite the journey from the first step of the way there, way back when in the day. Tying into that, so for everybody participating here in Stockholm and also online, can you talk a little bit more about how ComAround established the position that we are in today as one of the leaders in knowledge management?
Sure. So I think one of the most important thing is to have a great team, which we have. So find skilled people, build great teams. That's been a success factor for ComAround. We've also engaged with industry experts all around the world to get their input and learn from them. And that's been very important for us when we on this journey. Another success factor was that we early started to engage with the knowledge-centered service methodology, KCS. We will hear more about that later today, but when we combined that methodology with ComAround's long time experience, I think that was one of the success for the company and for the customers, of course. And I also would like to say a few words about all our great partners. I think that's been a very important part of our journey and us growing both here in Scandinavia and Europe as well as in North America. So having great partners is very important for us.
Thank you, Magnus.
Thank you.
Thank you for the input. So that was a little bit about ComAround, the company and the journey. We're going to move over to ask a question to Per and Marcus here, relating more to the technology. So as we may or may not be aware, ComAround uses Microsoft technology in the way that we create and deliver our product. Can you share a little bit with the audience about why Microsoft was chosen as the backbone? And let's begin with Per.
Yeah, I would like to take that one, if that's okay with you.
That's okay.
I wish I could say that was a really strategic decision, and we had a big comparison, but the simple truth is that we had one very skilled developer, this was back in the 90s, that just said that Microsoft is the choice. So it was very easy. And we just had customers saying that we want to move from books to digital. And we have something called intranet now. and we would like to have all those books in our intranet. So, and he said, of course, we need to use the Microsoft technology. So, and he delivered. So already then, around the millennium, and so that was not so strategic. It was more a skilled person who led us in the right way, I think. However, 2015, as Magnus mentioned, when we moved to Azure, that was much more a strategic decision. We started to get more and more international clients, more and more users come to the system and to the platform, and we really need to see how can we deliver the system to all over the world, basically, not just in Stockholm or Sweden. So I think that the choice of going to Azure was really important, and now it seems like a good decision too.
Absolutely.
That's great. It's great to hear. And what we deliver here today is actually we provide a coffee and some drinks. Unfortunately for all my friends in the US, we're not able to provide that via Skype. That's going to come in the next release. But
look forward to that.
Yeah, they will. So no, but it is for us. I think it's extremely important to have companies like ComAround running on Azure, because if you don't, this is like having a game console without any games. That's not going to make a lot of fun. So that is actually the strategy from Microsoft is very, very clear to bring in like the best and most innovative solutions and work with that. So we're really pleased to have you here and all ComAround customers too.
Thank you. We are happy to piggyback on your developments.
you get your coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good input from both of you. Looking at ComAround today, Per, not only do we deliver our software anymore, we also work a lot with knowledge management and specifically something called knowledge-centered service. This is something which we've been doing now for quite a few years. And can you share with everybody a little bit, how that has impacted ComAround and the way that we work and operate today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it's a big difference or a big change to go from just delivering a tool or a software to actually take responsibility for self-service success or actually reach those KPIs that our clients have. So I think that it's of course challenging, but much more fun to actually see some results of what we deliver. And I really believe in that all organizations can learn from other organizations. So it's really good to have our success team coming out to new clients and really share those experiences to new clients. I mean, I think that's a good tool with a bad process is not going to work. So it really feels good to not just distributing a software, but also a concept and be alongside with the client and see when the target is reached. So. And from a more practical view, it of course was a big change to go from just developing and delivering a tool to actually project lead, train. So we had, I think it was 90% of all ComAround employee was KCS Knowledge Center Service certified within a year. So we really, from that day when we took that decision that we need to understand what our clients actually are doing, we need to understand what this tool is. It's not a goal itself, it's just a tool. So what do they want to achieve? And that was really cool. I think the whole organization just changed. So we all of a sudden understand the language of our customers, which was good. And so I'm very proud of that. And today I'm proud to say that the sales organization in ComAround and the customer success team, everyone has the highest level of KCS certification, which I think is worth an applaud, actually.
Indeed.
And I also want to add that sometimes I feel that KCS is like something you choose or you don't, but I would like to see KCS as just best practice or experience from other organizations. So it doesn't matter what we call it. It's a lot of big organization that has learned from working with knowledge management, wrote that down, tried it again, improved it, and that's what KCS is. So I think you're stupid if you don't want to learn from others.
It is a best practice. Thank you, Per. Thank you. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think I could add that when we started to work with KCS, especially in Scandinavia, it wasn't that big. We had a few clients that have heard about it, like Ericsson and Swedish Match and some more that were more international. But I think that the interest has grown a lot for KCS just those 2 years that we have been talking about. And that's was beyond our expectations, that there was such a big interest for learning how other organizations actually worked with knowledge management and how they could really make it help them in their business. So that was very pleasing. I mean, that was a gamble. Is that something you want to hear about or not? And the answer was yes.
Great. So Bill, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. I got a question for you. You ready?
Go for it.
Yeah. All right. So from your perspective, you know, coming from the North American market, can you share a little bit with the audience? I think both why North America was deemed a good fit for ComAround, the company, and our services, but also share a little bit of maybe some of the differences, you know, between the North American and the European markets.
Sure. I think it's very exciting to be representing the ComAround product and building the U.S. and North American team to represent the product in this market. There certainly is a need for it. We're growing very rapidly with some great customers, some of whom you'll hear from a little bit later. But building on sort of Magnus's foundation of leadership in the marketplace, it's a company developed in the European market, so a lot of the cultural, language, and other differences, it's very easy to approach a lot of the global companies here, which make up the North American market, with the confidence in knowing that we handle a lot of the cultural and language issues that they need. The North American market is rapidly transforming the way most markets are transforming today, both from a business point of view as well as a technology point of view. And it's repeatedly been stated in analyst articles that knowledge is a key priority for many of the CIOs, business leaders in North America. We probably have the largest concentration of enterprise and Fortune companies here in the US, some of which you'll hear from later in our presentation, like Marsh McLennan and Disney Studios and many others. And it was really a great opportunity to work with Magnus and Per and our clients to really look at growing the market through direct sales engagement, technology partnerships like Microsoft and Cherwell, and also looking at the marketplace and expanding to gain the trusted advisors and influencers that our customers here in North American market want, which include many of the outsourcers, call centers, MSPs, and certainly resellers that we've trained and certified in our product. There's lots of differences in the marketplace, certainly, but getting back to the KCS area, the US market is really adopting KCS very rapidly, and they're realizing that by automating a bad business process, they wind up with an automated bad business process. And ComAround, being focused in knowledge management, is really a company that they look to turn to and certainly move to the cloud. It's generally accepted, and not only accepted, but expected now that companies will move to the cloud. And having the partnership with Microsoft and Azure really add a sense of confidence, which the US market, Canadian and Mexican market is looking for. They want partners that are safe, they want partners that are secure, and they want experts in the field. Finally, you know, there's a move afoot here in the US. Certainly, we're seeing this quite a bit, where companies are looking for knowledge management to play a role in many different areas of the enterprise. So we've had numerous conversations with customers here that are using our product for both employee support in areas like IT, human resources, business process management, and also the traditional CRM and ITSM support. The US market is being driven by reuse, and most importantly, they're trying to build a foundation of knowledge that will enable other technologies that we'll talk about a little bit later. So that's really the summary from a North American perspective, and we're so very excited to have partnerships with Microsoft and build on the sort of stand on the shoulders of all the hard work over the past 20 years that ComAround has put into the European and Scandinavian market.
Great. Thank you, Bill, for your input, and it's great to hear from you as well. So we're going to move on and ask you a question, Marcus.
Yes.
So we all, well, we may not all know, but ComAround is a partner of Microsoft. So can you explain a little bit to the audience participating here what sort of benefits or what sort of gains you can see that they would get out of this partnership?
Yeah, that's the question. What's in it for me?
Right.
Yeah, apart from that, we pay the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and this is really about, you know, when we look at I work for the Western Europe partner team that works with ISVs, which means independent software vendors or people that actually build IP on top of Microsoft technology. So what we do is that we work. We have a tech team that is, you know, consists of cloud architects and experts in the different disciplines that also work in very close connections with our product development teams in Redmond, US. So when ComAround develop the next generation and next generation, we make sure that, you know, the right technologies are used, and, you know, sometimes you don't want to hop on to something too quickly, but that works nicely. That is a key thing. The other one is, or also we do a lot of operations together when we look at, you know, the support chain and, you know, how do you set up that if something goes wrong. Then we work very closely together with the ComAround teams so that, you know, if something goes wrong, because, you know, if something can go wrong, it will. So, you know, that's going to happen. Then we want you to make sure that Microsoft really support the ComAround solution and that we certify that in different levels. So it makes a better experience for the end customer. So innovation, of course, the global scale, and then you know, the trust around that. I will go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcus. So let's jump back to you, Bill. So I'd like to hear a little bit from you, and I'm sure the audience would as well. How does ComAround view the future of you know, digital transformation, AI, and the customer experience as a whole from a knowledge management perspective?
I wish I had an hour for this question, Sebastian, but I'll try and keep it short.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
If we start with the traditional thinking that data leads to information to intelligence, and eventually intelligence to wisdom, we've logically moved from the information age to an age that's focused around intelligence, around knowledge, and wisdom that you can draw from the interaction of data plus knowledge. The ComAround philosophy is built on that, carefully balancing the curation of knowledge with also the amount of data and community that we gather as well as part of our overall intellectual property as a company. The data really is every click, every interaction, every successful or unsuccessful move with a client is tracked within our product. The community is really drawing from the experience and use cases of more than 250 global clients. And that makes for a very strong foundation in terms of looking at where knowledge plays in the transformation of a company to these new technologies. We've all heard of the Internet of Things. We've all looked at the concepts of things like digital twins in terms of the way that we can augment reality to track a jet engine or an elevator maintenance, those kinds of scenarios. But moving organizations to start to augment intelligence and to move to the age of artificial intelligence is going to be a challenge, and Gartner and other analyst firms realize that a lot of the success of these future technologies will rest in how companies accumulate, reuse, protect, and preserve knowledge as part of their overall approach to moving to these technologies. But it's not just a transformation from a technology point of view. It's also a cultural transformation that needs to be taken into consideration. Organizations today experience on average 23% of the knowledge in their company walking out the door every year based on transitions, turnaround, turnover, and either right sizing or other capabilities. The good news is that there's a new generation of workers moving into our companies with more technology skills and more savvy than any time in the history of technology. So how we capture that information and how we enable that information to be captured is going to be tantamount to achieving the kinds of goals that are associated with transformation, both from a company point of view and otherwise. So as we move from information to intelligence and eventually to wisdom, we're looking at new technologies like predictive knowledge, so that information can be gathered to predict what kind of knowledge a new employee may need, or someone who's a visitor to one of our locations, based on data that we are accumulating and intelligence that we're gathering in order to feed these new technologies information that they can draw conclusions by. We want to enable these new technologies in a way that clients can find easy to use and part of their workflow. Again, Gartner represents that 100% of all of our jobs will be affected in some way by the advent of artificial intelligence tools. How can we prepare ourselves culturally for that? And how can we prepare ourselves from a knowledge point of view to empower these new technologies? As one of my Microsoft colleagues stated, these new technologies may enable CIOs to make bigger mistakes with more confidence than ever before. I hope that those in the audience today will look at knowledge as a tool and an empowerment of these new technologies, and the real value of how ComAround is positioned, along with Microsoft and our other partners, is to be with you for the journey to these new technologies, to augment the intelligence that you have today and eventually move you to a new platform that realizes the benefits of these new and exciting technologies.
Thank you, Bill. All right, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and thank Magnus, Per, Marcus, and Bill for the executive briefing. And I think this transitions nicely into the next track. But first of all, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.